friends, and greetings for the day. Welcome back to another technical talk on our channel, and today we are talking about the world's most interesting topic called as testing. And the testing is something really very incredible to talk about every time, and today we are picking up another hot topic which just emerged in one of my discussions with a few other testers and our participants, and the statement which was given was that the developers are constructive in nature and testers are destructive in nature. And that was really something curious for me to make a little bit of thinking there, that does that really make sense that, a tester is someone who is destructive in nature and they destroy the software? And where does this statement comes from? In fact, like a developer is creative, at the same time the tester is something who is destructive. And a lot of people even use that very common phrase about the software testing as a practice, that testers are meant to break the system. Now, breaking, destroying, first of all, these are two different words, right? Breaking is of just creating a crack on a piece of glass is also called as breaking, or shattering them into pieces is also called as breaking. Talking about destroying is completely making in a state that it cannot be used at all, or first of all, you cannot figure out what it was before it, right? So destroying is more of like carrying a bomb or TNT and blasting a building, and it will be demolished into pieces, and you can't even figure out that what kind of structure was standing there, right? And that is what you call it as destroy. That's the extent. Talking about breaking is, you can relate it to breaking a glass of water, or like glass, or maybe a glass piece, or maybe a glass door, and you know that you can't just fix it back, right? Even if you try using Fevikwik or some kind of adhesive, it's not gonna make that door work again, isn't it? Because you have broken it completely. And breaking a bone is also another aspect which you can call a doctor as tester, or maybe and someone who is breaking your bone is not a kind of like person who is fighting with you, rather he's a tester, isn't it? Why don't we prefer to do that if testers are software breakers or testers are destroyers? Instead of calling people as terrorists, we should call them tester, isn't it? Sorry to talk about that, but point here is, does that really mean anything important? No, because testers are not someone who are destroying anything, neither they are breaking anything. First of all, what exactly is the approach to testing? The approach to testing generally says that we are just trying to find defects. I think no matter you talk about any standard syllabus, or you talk about any specific standards, or any organization which talks about testing and providing definitions and glossaries, I'm not sure if any organization ever mentions that definition to testing is destroying the software, or definition to testing is breaking a software or application or hardware. Now, they always say that it's all about finding defects, preventing defects, gaining confidence about the quality of the product which you're building, and making sure all the parameters, including requirements, are achieved while working fine, right? So where is that statement that another objective of testing is to break the software, another objective of testing is to destroy the software, which is like taking a lot of effort for you to build it all together, right? So we want to talk about this understanding today in our session, that what is this misconfusion, or kind of like misunderstanding, or even if you're talking about having a myth, then what is the reality? So first of all, I think we have just spoken about the myth being overcome by our objectives of testing. In fact, from the definition of testing, a lot of people have different definition to testing, including one that the job is to find the defect. Testing is a process of enhancing quality in the system. Testing is a process of validating all the requirements and making sure that customer expectations are met, mitigating the risk in the product, quality risk, etc. So there are a number of definitions, but again, coming to the same point, none of them even talk about that we are trying to have a process which is going to destroy a product which we don't want to go live, right? We are trying to say, in fact, that the testers do not want the product to go live, and we are destroying it and breaking it. So what's the point here? What exactly do we do then? Does it really relate to when we talk about destruction or breaking? Is it not the right word to be used? Or is that something completely different? Okay, so let's understand that what is a tester's approach to testing. Number one thing here, that when you are a tester yourself, you pretty much understand what you do in a project. Number one, you start your journey right from analyzing the requirements, right? You may have several test bases with you, and the test bases could be anything: requirement, design, SRS, BRS, non-functional requirements, no matter whatever you have, CFD, DFD, use cases, any kind of pictorial representations like state transition diagram, use case diagram, whatsoever you may have. You start analyzing them, right? Going through them, understanding, getting the hold of what exactly the ask of the customer is when you're trying to test a system. Now, during that requirement analysis, if you get a question, or if you have contradictions, omissions, right, inconsistencies on those. For example, I just raise my hand and ask my business analyst, hey, I don't think I have a clarity over here. Can you just explain me? Okay, I think this particular requirement is missing some critical information. Would you mind getting me those pending details about the same? Now, will you call this as destroying it? As to destroying a requirement or breaking a requirement? No, I'm just getting my doubts clarified. And which is as simple as a student asking a question to the teacher that, hey miss, may I know what exactly does that mean? And we don't mean to say that we are destroying the teacher, right? It's just an approach of validating what is given to us. So the approach to testing is basically a tester interacting with the system in order to ask those questions back in form of deviation sometime, or in form of getting a clarity sometime. All right, let's say that static testing makes sense, Neeraj, but when you talk about dynamic, isn't that you're breaking it? All right, let's talk about it. When you say dynamic testing, you are interacting with the system, which is built by a very efficient developer. Okay? We are not trying to contradict with development role at all. We're just, of course, appreciating our counter team, which is responsible for helping us build a quality product. So the most important thing here is the developer has built an efficient system, which is supposed to be as per the requirement, the given expectations, and a testing team is responsible to review that or validate it. Now, when you're talking about validation, the testers have created certain set of test cases. You just execute them, and some scenarios fail. Did you really break it purposefully? That, hey, let's change the code and then prove that there's a failure. That's called as breaking team. If you go behind the screen and make the changes in the code and then test it and say there was a failure, now that's breaking. That's destroying. But we are just uncovering the areas which are not built at all, where the implementation was not completed. So the point here is a developer has put his or her effort to build an application, a particular page or module or build, whatever you call it as. Now the question is, a tester has no intervention there. A tester is all about validating that, hey, there was an initial set of requirements given to us. Have you built it according to it? If in case not, then you have either missed out something to be built, or you misunderstood it and built something else. And that's what you call it as deviation from the expectation. And that's nothing to do with breaking or destroying, right? You are just letting them know which is already existing and they could not figure out. Talking about a bit on the psychology of testing, why did we hire test engineers? Why do you have teachers for the students? The reason was a student does not have all the capabilities to find all their mistakes in the examination. Right? Why? Because the human psychology says that you are not competitive enough to find your own mistakes. And that's human psychology, the mindset. Default. Nothing to do with roles, nothing to do with profession. Any individual who writes something up, builds something on its own, cannot find all their mistakes in what they have created. And that's a human psychology is all about that. When you are creating something, you think you're going right, and there's nothing wrong about it. You always think you are confident about it, you are doing good, you're doing correct, and things are going right. So you even if you try reviewing it, you may not be able to find all your mistakes, right? You may find some, but not all. And that's the reason you submit your examination paper to a teacher, and teacher, given that not the person who created it, can very well find out your remaining mistakes, what you couldn't correct. The same way here, a tester is responsible to do the second gate quality check after developers, and to make sure that what developers could not find, we are just finding them. And these are deviations which are already existing. The developer already have done it. You're just reviewing it. We're just validating it. So we are not basically injecting anything. We are not trying to destroy it. We are having a very simple and easy definition, team, that the test engineers are just uncovering those areas which are not written before, right? Uncovering those areas. We are not inserting defects. We are not injecting failures. A test engineer is just uncovering those areas which are not at all built, or in fact had a deviation, and we're just taking off that curtain off to tell you that, hey, see here, this feature is supposed to work like this, but I think you forgot to do that. This feature was supposed to do something else, and I don't see that feature at all. Forget about what it does. I don't see a button on the screen. Now, did we do anything there? No. We were just validating what you have built and what best can be done here to help them complete their job. So we support with the defect report. We could always call them, drop an email with one line that, hey, this is the problem. But we look forward to work together and provide all necessary information to them in order to help them understand that what was the failure, so that they will find it easy to get into the root cause and start working on fixing it and do it faster as well, right? So the point is, where do we see destruction in this? Where do we see the breaking part in this? So testers are never meant to destroy anything. Testers are never meant to break anything which is already broken, right? You're just figuring out and pointing out that finger on it. Hey, did you see that? That's not working fine. That doesn't even do the job what it is supposed to do. So we are just letting them know, okay? A test engineer is someone who is responsible to let the team and stakeholder know that what exactly testing is, what exactly they found, right? Not exactly what they inserted or injected. So testers' job is never to break the systems or destroy the system. In fact, we are not, because system is already not working and they sent it to you. You are just uncovering them and letting them know back that, hey, you know what, you just missed out these things, right? So system is already broken. System is already incomplete. There are partial things which are missed out. We're just letting them know about it. We're just letting them know about it. As usual, like in reality, the same thing happens with you when you know how you're organizing something for your events and functions and all, and somebody just comes and let you know that, hey, the light number 4 is not working. Did he break it? No. Will you call him a destroyer? Will you call him a breaker or something? No, he's just a reporter. And we are the same. A test engineer is just a reporter, letting you know that these are the deviations, these are the things which are going wrong, and we are just informers and letting them know. So remember, team, being a QA, you are not breaking anything. You're just making sure that you are letting the team know well ahead of time before the customers and the end users get surprises. And that's where we are. That's where we are. And we need to find out different ways, different approaches by which we can find as many deviations as possible. So yes, we do start working on those approaches. We start working on various techniques to make sure that we have a very, very strong kind of, foundation in terms of the strategy or approaches, which will help us build a great understanding altogether. Now that's where the part of the testing comes. We find out various different ways in which we can find as many deviations, as many failures as possible, so that we can let them know and get it resolved before it goes live. So on the same note, when people talk about, hey, we have also heard of terms like fault seeding and fault injection. So what does that really mean? Are we not talking about destroying the software in this case? Of course, yes, but not us. A testing team asks a development team to purposefully insert a deviation, right, which can be called as seeding a fault, and the development team does not let the testing team know about where have they done that deviation, and then ask the testing team to test it. Now, is that something development team wants to evaluate about your ability? No, it's we who have asked them, right? Generally, testing manager asks the development team to insert some seeds like the faults, seeds the fault in the code. And the only reason they ask them to do it is to check the effectiveness of their test cases, right? At any point of time, if they insert a new defect purposefully and you run your entire test suite of regression and everything passes, that simply tells you that you are missing that critical part of it where they inserted the defect. And that's what you call it as fault seeding. Okay, fault seeding. Now, fault seeding is a really interesting thing to improve your efficiency of testing or efficiency of the test cases, which in turn helps you to build a greater foundation for thereafter testing. Like regressions will certainly need all that, and we want to make sure that our test cases are up to the mark and will be very strong enough to find any kind of deviation which may happen in future. So unknowingly, like without knowing what exactly is the seeding happening here, you just request the developers, hey, just make some changes any corner of the software, and we would run a round of testing and see that if our test cases are capable enough to find those mistakes or not. If in case we can find it, our test cases are ultimately strong, we don't need anything else to do. But if in case you can't find that, we would write those extra test cases due to which we could not find that defect, what was seeded by the developer for this, right? So fault seeding part is only to evaluate efficiency of your test cases and not to break the software or destroy the software. So that's pretty much similar to what is fault injection and does make sense in other terms too. So putting it all together, like when you talk about the systems testers mindset, we are here from finding failures. We are always oriented towards organizing and interacting with the system, either yourself, like your personal intervention, which a lot of people prefer calling manual testing, but it's more of like interactive. You are interacting with the system directly. Or if in case you find that it could be tedious to interact yourself with the system and test it, you take help of automation testing tools, right? Reducing your effort, reducing your intervention with the application. So the whole approach of our mindset of a test engineer is to interact with system as much as possible, either way, and find as many failures or deviations as possible. But the word is finding, okay? We just uncovered the things which are less known to anyone else. And most importantly, as and when you find it, you document the details and send it to the developer, and post that the approach of testing continues to find as many deviations as possible. But at any point, no matter you're talking about a technique, you're talking about a test type, you're talking about a test level, none of the places, none of the kind of approach tells you that we are trying to destroy something. We haven't got a hammer. We don't have a dynamite to break the things. We don't destroy. We are just uncovering the things which is not at all built. Okay? The thing is that whether it is not implemented or it's already broken, we're just letting you know. So be proud of yourself. Being a QA engineer, you are not supposed to be called as a breaker or not even a destroyer. You're just letting them know that what you forgot to build. Right? I hope you had a wonderful discussion here and wonderful learning about your own definitions. We are trying to think about different perspectives and talking about the exact reality of testing rather than driven definitions. We look forward to more such contents coming up. If you have any suggestions, drop them below. I would love to talk about them and provide my philosophy of it, and look forward to your support on the same. So that's all from this particular session, team. Should you have anything else, feel free to comment below. I'm always there to address your queries and answer them well. Till then, keep learning, keep exploring, keep understanding the context. Thanks for watching the video, team, and happy learning.